And welcome back, everyone. We have yet again Fux with us. We are going to have a 2.0, diving in deeper, getting some wisdom nuggets out of Fux's brain, just like we did on our first 2 episodes as well. So welcome back, Fux.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Now, Fux, for those lazy people who are not willing to go and watch the first episode or have not done so and just wants to get the wisdom nuggets, tell in a nutshell, what do you do?
I'm a calligrapher. I focus on ancient Mongolian script, because right now Mongolians write with Cyrillic, and they used to write with a classic Mongolian script, vertical, beautiful script, and I do calligraphy with that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, Fux, let's dive in a little deeper. Let's find some deeper answers out of your brain, let's say. And let's start from, why is calligraphy important? Why should that move people? Why should that do why should that make people feel anything?
I mean, this would be more general, not specific to Mongolian calligraphy, because for me, handwriting in general is something that shouldn't be lost. Because...
Tell that to my husband.
I just might. As an example, for the past 2 years, sometimes I've been doing presentations at homes of the elderly, like as charity work.
I love that.
And I did presentations about Mongolia, how I traveled there, and so on. And usually at the end, we did a small workshop of calligraphy. And I think that's a good example on how handwriting actually helps. Because if you do something physically, it's already more engaging for the brain. And you need to connect the movement of your hand with your brain work. You need to think about what the hand is doing. And if you write the script that you know that well, meaning Latin, let's say, then it doesn't require that much brain power. But for the elderly, this could be very beneficial. And if it's something people don't know, then it's even more engaging. I mean, you tried that yourself.
Yes.
Imagine the difference between write a straight line with a pencil. Done. Right. Boring.
It was not boring. It was very mesmerizing.
I mean, if you don't know that it's a calligraphy workshop.
Fair, yes.
And then,
yes.
if I tell you, now we're writing Mongolian, write a straight line. Like, and you start thinking, like, what's that? Is the line still straight?
Yeah.
Is it
Exactly.
straight? If I just make a small dent, doesn't it change the meaning? And I think that's the thinking behind it, why handwriting is so vital and should be done. I'm not saying to ditch all technology, because I think that helps very much, but we shouldn't forget those parts, because if we stop engaging our bodies in the thinking process, I really do think that this would be detrimental.
I love that. Great. Now, with that in mind, I would love for you to answer for our next question, which would be for entrepreneurs, and you decided to be an entrepreneur. You work for yourself, you work on your own hours. Why did you choose this particular field to make your own money and your own destiny and your own time?
I just loved it. I mean, when I started, it was... And another story, let's do it then.
We love stories, yes, give it to us.
Because when I arrived to Honolulu in November for the global conference, I just arrived there at the airport, I just opened up Facebook, just see like what's where, and I saw a status from a friend of mine. We haven't seen each other in 10 years, and we've been doing medieval fencing in Brno.
Super random.
And he's been living in Sydney for 7 years.
Yeah.
And I just saw the status, we just arrived to Honolulu with my wife. I was like, right, okay. So I just dropped him a message, dude, really Honolulu now? I just arrived. Yeah, me too. Okay, let's grab a beer. So we went there, and like during the talking, we haven't really been in touch too much, like during the years. And he gave me wonderful insight, because he saw me 10 years ago when I started with calligraphy. I've been doing it for just a couple of years. And he told me, like, at the beginning, you were just a weird guy who just scribbles something nonsensical, sometimes writes it on people, like, all right, just wants to be cool and interesting. I mean, I'm sure it was slightly like that. But in general, I just loved the whole process. In the evenings, I would just sit by myself when everybody would be asleep. I just get a bowl of tea. I just prepare some ink, and I was just practicing for a few hours just alone in the dark. Oh, with light a bit, of course, but that's what I love doing every evening just for myself.
I love that.
And he told me, okay, you did that 10 years ago. This is what I saw. This is what I knew. I said, yeah, pretty much. And then he didn't really pay attention to it. Like, why would he? Because it was very distant. And now he just did it, let's say, I think he did it before we met or something like that. Or he just saw a status somewhere on Facebook. And now after 13 years, like, he's working with the embassies in Mongolia or in Czech Republic. He's the only foreigner with an exhibition in Kharkhorin, like Mongolian city. Like, what's that? Is it really that serious after these years? I mean, apparently yes.
Yeah.
And with BNI, for me, it's like that I mean it seriously for myself.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter like what the other people think about it. For me, this is serious. This is what I want to do, and this is what I do.
Yeah.
Like, few years back, I tried to like reinvent what I actually love doing, to see what are the things I actually love doing, and I ditched everything. I stopped doing calligraphy. I managed to not do it for a month. After that, I just was there. Something's missing. And it was that.
It's the itch.
Yeah, it was an itch, exactly. So I can't really ditch it, not at all.
I love that.
Impossible.
I love that. So it really is in your blood. It's
absolutely.
It's in there.
Yeah.
I love it. Amazing. Fux, now let's say someone would want to learn more of calligraphy. They would want to maybe do what you do. What is the first thing, or let's say one thing that people should know about your industry before they get into it?
That depends if the person would want to freelance as a calligrapher, or if it would be just something as a hobby. Because if this would be a hobby, right, learn the basics, practice, work on it, and then just see where it goes. Because you'll see which approach would be the best. Of course, I think it's very specific to each person. If it would be a freelancer, then I would think a bit more, because calligraphy is just one of those things I do. Because for me, it's not possible yet to make a living just doing calligraphy. And I know very few calligraphers who do that in Czech Republic. Because they do Latin, so it's more comprehensible for the market. And they're wonderful calligraphers, but I think it's still a very difficult area to actually make a living out of that. So there are very few people who manage to do that. There are a few, but really a few. And it was Latin.
Yeah. I love that. That's the beauty of niching down. You need to just find the right market, and then when you hit it, you hit it, and it's just gonna go overboard. But I mean, when that day comes, when the world record comes and everything, when all that happens, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back one episode and you will see what was Fux's goal and what he will accomplish by 2026, the latest. Great. Now, folks, let's think about a client of yours. What's the biggest struggle? Because you do workshops, you provide these beautiful workshops where people can actually do it themselves. So if you didn't caught that yet during the episode, that's what Fux was doing for us as well. And it truly is amazing when you are writing stuff without knowing that you're writing stuff. But if that's something that is just super difficult for people, because we did see that in our group as well, some people were struggling, what would be the one tip that you can give people to get more relaxed with it and enjoy it more?
I think it's quite a generic thing, but just enjoy the process. Because for me, I mean, I'm an extrovert, apparently.
You don't say!
I mean, it was a wild guess. But for me, this was like a meditative, introverted part that I wanted to enjoy as well. Because for me, writing straight lines becomes interesting. Because when you do the line, then you see, all right, these few hairs have been slightly to the side of the brush. Right, let's do this one. Now make it more narrow. So you make a narrower line, and can you do it consistently? Can you do it at different speeds? Can you flip the brush a little bit? What are the things you can actually do with the line? And you do straight lines top to bottom, because that's how the script flows. But sometimes you need horizontal ones as well. Sometimes you go for circles or spirals or any shapes, and then only then you go for the basic shapes of the actual script. When I practice the very basics, usually, I mean, that's how I started when I didn't really know it that well. Right now it's more natural, but when I started, I just saw the word I wanted to write on a bigger canvas, and I wasn't sure on how the brush would work exactly. So first I tried like 50 versions of each letter of the word. Then I went for syllables, then some chunks of the characters, and only then I did like 50 versions of the word. So it took a few hours to just make one word on a bigger
So if you think this is easy or, boring, hell no. I mean, I'm a very critical person myself as Liz, and very, very, very perfectionist. And when we did this workshop, for me, it was like, Fux, it doesn't look exactly what yours does on the board. So it was definitely, but it was a beautiful way of getting into really outside of your comfort zone. When we do my episode, you guys will understand I push comfort zones a lot. So it really was a beautiful way how to expand your comfort zone in a very easy, kind of common way that you would never think that it's possible in such an easy short format. But Fux, let's talk a little bit more about your work and what people actually get out of it. So let's focus on the workshops, for example, because that's one thing that you do quite a lot in Czech Republic, for example. So what is the one thing that people get out of it? Why should they have you as a workshop leader? Why should this something so unique be in someone's event?
When I spoke to people like after the workshops, what they experience, because I think it's more of an experience. Usually people don't come to my workshops to actually learn this specific script. Sometimes these are people who traveled Mongolia, wanted to expand their knowledge about the culture. Yes, because I usually fill it with stories, how I traveled, and like with the weird things I just saw there, which is fun, of course. But I think that in general, the experience is really a meditative for like 2 to 4 hours, like the lengths usually differ, but this is taking the person outside of whatever they were in, placing them in a room with a brush, ink, and they get to focus on only one thing. And I make sure they can't focus on anything else. Because you can't really, you're trying to fathom, like, what's this? Like, how do I, what? No. I really wouldn't think it's frustrating. Maybe for you, but usually.
For us perfectionists, but it gets better. I mean,
but you had 5 minutes to practice.
Yes.
There's 4 minutes too much, but still.
I would say, from a perspective of being part of your workshop, it's such a beautiful way of really forcing your brain not to think about the everyday life. Of like, and I think, if I'm not incorrect, I remember that day when you had the workshop, and I was quite particularly frustrated that day. Something had just happened the day before. And I told everybody, like, I don't know if this is going to be a good meeting and everything. And then when we did the workshop, I didn't think about the stuff outside anymore. Yes, the line may have bothered me a little bit, but it really made me concentrate just so much and so deeper into that one thing. So that's why I think it's really like transforming people into somewhere else in their brain, and the worry is all going away. So I mean, it's a big thing to say, but it's truly magnificent. Not my native language, but we'll take it. What you do in the workshops and how you get people really getting deeper into it. So I absolutely loved it. I can't wait for the longer form that we're going to have later on.
Yeah, we will.
Amazing. Now, Fux, give us an advice. What should someone know about you if they are thinking, should I hire Fux in an event or for my company? What should they know about you, in a nutshell, to be able to make that, we do need this dude?
Yeah. I mean, it would depend. No, it wouldn't actually. The bottom line of what I do is these things are custom made. I don't really like doing things which would be repetitive or being too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes if it's a design for a mug, let's say, that we did for a company, of course you have 300 of those. So in a way repetitive, but still it was unique for the one gift. On the other hand, everything else is custom made for the customer. If it's a company, individual, doesn't really matter. Usually I meet with the people or the person and we talk about, like, so what do you want from this? If it's a canvas for a wall, let's say at home, then we meet. We talk about, all right, what are your values? Where will it be? What are the colors that you like? Let's say I'm doing a canvas for a couple at home. It's like, all right, so this will be in our new home, a brand new apartment that we bought. It's like, all right, what are the dynamics of what do you want to feel when you see it on the wall? Because in a way, it shouldn't be too intrusive, because you would be walking back and forth all the time, and if it still like takes your eyes off everything, then it would be disturbing. But it needs to stand out sufficiently for it to actually fill the room or complement it. That's the word.
Yep.
And I usually write a poem for these people. Like if they want something very specific, it's a poem that I write. If it's for, let's say, if it's a restaurant, the approach is the same but more complex, of course, because then it goes slightly into interior design, but from the art perspective, not the whole thing. That's why I need interior designers. And if it's a performance, let's say, I mean, give me a crowd, I'll make a show. That's what I love doing as well.
That is very true.
Because I like just giant brushes. I just bring them from Mongolian. And if it's a performance, it's even more tailor-made for the event. There was a chili eating festival a few years back, and there was like, folks, you want to do a performance? So I took a big brush and a big piece of paper. It was like 2 times 10 meters wide. And I just set it on fire because chili eating is with fire. So I just set the canvas on fire and I was writing while it was burning. It's like, yeah,
I've
why
seen
not?
pictures. This is true, and it's wild, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
So like whichever crazy thing it can be, I'm ready to do it, and to do it in a fun, interesting way.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, folks, you really are one of the most innovative people I've ever seen, because every time when we have an idea, you're like, but what if we twist it? And I'm like, I love it. That's a great idea. So that's such a beautiful thing about you as a person as well as your business. Now, folks, for the end of our episodes, can you please tell everybody where can they find you? If anybody got the idea, I need to pick his brain more, I need to know more, where can they find you? How can they connect with you?
I have a new website which was done by one of our members within our chapter. It's called fuxcalligraphy.com. So you can find anything about the things I do there. That's one thing. If you want something more dynamic, then go for socials. Instagram, Fux Karachovič, but the ch is not there, so Fux Karachovič. That's Instagram or Facebook. Usually I'm with these 2 names, and there is only one Fux Karachovič in the world, I guess.
Oh, look at that. We're both the only people with our name in the world. That's fascinating. I love that. And yes, if you missed any part of that name, we are going to link them all down below. So don't worry. You don't have to be thinking about, what did I just say? Should I go back? Should I read what was the letters that you just said? So don't worry. Just click the links below and you can contact Fux.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, if you do think, who are these people? What are they doing? What is BNI? And you happen to be in Prague, we meet every week with our business networking group. We're gonna put the links down below as well so that you can come and visit our chapter as well, meet us in person, and everyone else who has been in these podcast episodes as well. Folks, thank you so much for joining us in this podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and see you in the next episode.
Cheers.